ॐ दक्षिणास्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्ण पाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः श्रीहरिं परमानन्दम् उपदेष्टारमीश्वरं व्यापकं सर्वलोकानां कारणं तं नमाम्यहम्. So now we saw initially as to what is the prerequisite, the requirements for a person to go into this Vedanta inquiry. Inquiry into what Vedanta talks about the reality of the Jiva, Jagat, and Ishvara, and the whole spectrum of what is called as the Sadhana Chatushtaya. Sadhana Chatushtaya was talked about. The meaning of sadhana chatushtaya is the fourfold qualifications that are required for a person which help a mumukshu to develop the preparedness for this knowledge. The preparedness to go into the enquiry of this particular knowledge. And we dealt with in detail, as we dealt with in Viveka Chudamani, here also Viveka, that is Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka, that there is something which is constantly changing, which I am all the time seeing, but there is something which is the same, which is not having any changes, which is remaining unchanged, and which is the very witness of all the changing things around me. Then, in that case, what is this unchanging thing called as Atma? And what is this constantly changing thing of what I experience outside? This kind of a viveka. Viveka means what? A discrimination. A discrimination that there's no point in going after things that are constantly changing, that are constantly perishing. There's no point in going after such things. If at all, I should try to understand that thing which is constant, which is not changing, and that which whose support I can take to really understand the security that I'm seeking for. To understand that the peace, security, and happiness that I am hoping and wanting and expecting is not possible to get from anything from this world, which is constantly changing and perishing. Every minute, drishta nashta, that means what? As I'm seeing, as I'm experiencing, the world is changing. So, from such a changing, ever changing jagat of objects, it is not possible for us to get any kind of a security. And if I have to go after, or if I want to find out what is it that gives me the security that I'm looking for, that feeling of not feeling that insecurity, incompleteness, apurnatvam, if there is something which I have to know, which removes this insecurity and apurnatvam from me. What is that thing that I have to know? That which is not constantly changing like my body, constantly changing like the world outside, which we call as the Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka. Then we talked about Vairagya, means dispassion towards the ever changing things of life, and a commitment to know that thing which is all the time there forever, which is not causing any changes, which is not going through any changes, which does not cause any kind of an insecurity or a purnatvam in me, if I understand that. This kind of a dispassion towards the world outside, giving the right value to the world outside, not getting entangled with the world outside. This is what is called as vairagyam. It is not disenchantment. It is not that I feel everything is useless. No, that is not vairagyam. Vairagyam is understanding the real value of the world outside, the objects of the world, people of the world, the situations of the world, understanding, giving the right value to the world of objects, to use the objects of the world for my use, but not depending upon them psychologically and emotionally for my security. That is Vairagyam. Then we saw a set of 6 disciplines, what is called as the Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti, which is nothing but managing and disciplining the body, mind, sense organ. And last but not the least is a deep commitment to know this Nitya Vastu, the capacity to commit myself and keep that knowing of that Nitya Vastu or Atman as the first priority, and everything else in me, in my life, as subsequent priorities. That is what is called as the deep desire to understand the reality or the Satyam. Whatever is this Satyam, what is this reality behind this world, this commitment to understand and a deep desire to know this. This was called as Mumukshatvam. And Aparokshanubhuti says, Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, once you are with this particular sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikari, once you have got this adhikaritvam of having sufficient amount of this fourfold qualification, then you are a candidate to go into the inquiry of Vedanta. And we saw also in the last 1 or 2 verses what is the meaning of inquiry. If I want to know something, I want to inquire into what gives me that particular knowledge. Supposing I want to know something in, say, chemistry or mathematics, I have to inquire into that particular body of knowledge which gives me the knowledge of what I'm inquiring into. Therefore, to inquire into this Atma, to inquire into this Nitya Vastu, what I have to do is inquire into that particular body of knowledge, that particular instrument of knowledge, what we call as the pramana, which helps me in giving this knowledge. Without inquiry, no knowledge can be born. I have to inquire into it, means I have to go deep into it. I have to study it. Inquiry means that I have to inquire into a certain body of knowledge to get that knowledge of what I am looking for. Without the process of inquiry, knowledge will not arise. That's what he said in the 11th verse. Na utpadyate vina jnanam vicharena anya sadhanaihi. Okay? Vina vicharena anya sadhanaihi jnanam na utpadyate. Without inquiry, no knowledge can really happen. Yatha padartha bhanam hi prakashena vina kvachit. If I want to get the knowledge of an object which is placed, somewhere where there is no light. Unless that particular object is lighted up by the light, outside light, either by my bulb or light, electric bulb or sunlight or moonlight or whatever is the source of external light, unless it is lighted up by this, it is not possible for me to really recognize the object. So, to recognize the Atma, to understand what that Atma is, to understand what I'm looking for, that Nitya Vastu, which Vedanta calls, which the wise people call as Atma or Brahman, what should I do? I have to expose my intellect, or I have to delve into what is called as the right source of knowledge. The right source of knowledge to understand that Nitya Vastu or that Atman or Brahman, which is explained as the Nitya Vastu by wise people. That is the knowledge given only in certain portions of the Vedas. So, Vedas are the Pramana. Vedanta, which is one of the portions of the Vedas, is the actual instrument of knowledge, or that is the source of knowledge, enquiring into which the knowledge of what this Nitya Vastu or Atman is got. So he says, Vicharena na anya sadhanaihi, no other sadhanas are going to help me in knowing this knowledge. If I have to get this knowledge, then Bina vicharena, without vichara, Vedanta vichara, inquiry into Vedanta, getting into the subject matter of Vedanta, asking questions, looking for answers in Vedanta, looking for answers Guru Mukhena Shastra Adhyayanam, that is also called as the Vedanta Vichara. Jnana Yoga is also called Vedanta Vichara, which involves three processes of Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. All these are nothing but Vedanta Vichara. And he says that without inquiring into the right body of knowledge called as Vedanta, this knowledge of the reality of the highest, or the reality of what we call as the Nitya Vastu, is not possible. And what is the nature of inquiry? What is it that I want to inquire about? What are the questions that normally come to me? When I see that this whole world is constantly changing, it is a world which is, today I want to catch it, it's not there. I go behind it, it is no longer to be seen. It's like running after a mirage. I'm never satisfied. My deep sense of apurnatvam, my deep sense of unfulfilled feeling is never fulfilled by the world of objects, whatever I do, whatever may be my acquisition, whatever may be my accumulation, whatever it is, I don't get any kind of purnatvam with the objects of the world outside. If that is so, then who am I who's desiring all these things? Am I really of the nature of this incomplete, apurna self that I'm seeing myself to be? Or am I something else? There are times when I'm happy. There are times when I don't feel this kind of a apurnatvam or unfulfilled feeling. I don't feel this sense of lacking something. There are times when I'm not a wanting person anymore. I'm happy in sleep. In certain situations, I'm very happy. In certain, most of the times, I'm not happy. I feel a sense of gnawing incompleteness, unfulfilled feeling. Who am I really then? Who is this who's feeling this kind of an incompleteness? And who am I really? Am I this chronically wanting person, constantly grumbling, wanting to be something else, wanting something else? Am I this kind of a person, or am I a person different? Who am I? So, koham, who am I? Next, katham idam jatam. I am the experiencer of this whole surrounding world or universe. And this universe is not the way it is every minute, it's changing. It was not what it was it is not what it was yesterday. It is constantly changing. But I see a Jagat which is functioning with a certain precision in a certain order. Day and night are coming in a proper time. Sunrise, sunset is happening at a particular time. Seasons are coming and going in a particular time. So, though I see that this world is constantly changing, it's not a chaotic thing, but it is something which has some order in it. Some kind of an orderly management is happening. So, what is this product that I'm seeing? What is this thing called as the Jagat? Katham idam jatam. We saw it at in the 12th verse. I am the one who is the experiencer of this world, and there is this idam or this entire universe, which I call as idam, which is being experienced by me. Who is this experiencer? Koham. What is this that I'm experiencing? This whole Jagat. What is this Jagat? And if this is something which is there like this manifesting in front of thing, then Kova Karta Asya. Is there some maker of this universe? Is there somebody who is the Karanam, the maker, and the material? What is the material that this Jagat is made of? Who is the maker of this universe? Who am I who is the experience of this whole universe? I have not made it. I don't know the material with which it is made, but I'm constantly experiencing this world. Then what is this me? What is this Jagat that is being experienced? What is the Upadanam Kim Asti E? Kam Kim Asti? What is the material with which it is made? I see thousands of products here of the universe, but what is that ultimately? What is the base material with which this whole thing is made? This is what I want to know. This is what I want to inquire as to who am I? What is it that I am seeing? And if there is something which is running in such a precision and I am able to experience this whole thing, is there some kind of a intelligence, or is there somebody behind this whole thing which is going on? So, what is this? That is what I want to know. This is the nature of inquiry. You can bring it down to who is this jiva? What is this jagat that is being experienced by this jiva? And who's the karta, or who is Ishvara, or who's the one who's running this whole show with precision? Who am I, or what am I, and what is this Jagat, and what is Ishvara? So, Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, what is it? This is the basic inquiry. Now, from the 13th verse, it is being talked about as to, in a very brief manner, this Aparokshanubhuti talks about initially as an introduction as to who I am, what this world is, and who's the maker and the one who's managing the manager of this universe. So the 13th verse talks about only as an introduction as to who am I, the experiencer of this world. Then he says, Naham bhutagano dehaha, naham chakshaganastatha, ye tadvilakshanah kaschid, vicharassoyamidrishaha. So, this is the inquiry. This is how the teacher or the acharya helps me to get into this inquiry, which is called as the Atma Anatma Viveka. Okay, what is this Atma Anatma? Naham Bhuta Ganaha. I'm not the five elements. We'll get more details as we go further. This is just the first pratigna, or the what we call as the first proposed meaning being given in this particular verse as to who am I? Because that was a question that I inquired into first. Who am I? So the first thing that is said by Vedanta is Naham Bhutaganaha. I am not the Bhutagana. I am not the five elements. Akasha, Vayu, Agnihi, Apaha, Prithvi. They are the building elements or the building blocks of this entire universe, material universe, and also this body mind sense complex. But I, the observer of the Jagat, the observer of the body mind sense complex, is not one of the Bhuta Ganas. That means what? Naham Bhuta Ganaha. I have explained this very in detail earlier also. When I'm aware of the five elements, I'm the awarer, the knower of the five elements. I'm not the five elements. This book is there. I'm the knower of this book. I'm not the book. This is an object, the book, and I'm the knower of this object. I am not the book. Similarly, the building blocks of this whole universe and the body mind sense complex, which are nothing but the five elements, Pancha Mahabhutani, Akasha, Vayuhu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi. I'm not these five elements, nor am I the combination of these five elements, the elemental. This body is elemental. The five Mahabhutas or the five individual elements go through a process of combination and give rise to a gross Jagat and a gross body, which we have already seen in the earlier text. And I am neither the elements nor the elementals. Naham dehaha. What is this deha? The sthula sharira, which is nothing but a product of the panchabhutas. Panchabhautika sharira. That means it's the elemental sharira. Then, naham cha aksha ganaha tatha. I am not the sense organs also. Aksha ganaha. Aksha ganaha means the group of sense organs. And where do these sense organs belong to? To what do they belong? To the Sukshma Sharira. The Sthula Sharira is this anatomical body, the Panchabhautika elemental Sharira. So already Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, Naham Bhutaganaha, Naham Dehaha. Why? Because I can see, I can experience the Deha. I am the experiencer of the Deha. Deha is an object of my experience. I cannot be the experienced object. I'm experiencing all the five elements. I'm experiencing the elemental body made up of the five elements. Therefore, the Panchabhutas and the Panchabhautika Sharira are the objects of my experience, and I am the very subject of this Panchabhautika Sharira. So I'm not the Sthula Sharira. Naham cha akshaganas tatha. I am not the group of the five sense organs of perception and five organs of action, because they belong to the Sukshma Sharira. That means what? I am the experiencer of the Sthula Sharira also. I am the experiencer of the Sukshma Sharira also. I, being the very experiencer of Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira, the Sthula and Sukshma Sharira are the objects of my experience. Therefore, I am not the Sthula Sharira Deha. I am not the sense organs. Sense organs are indicative of the Sukshma Sharira. Therefore, who am I? I am neither the Sthula Sharira not the Sukshma Sharira. Then who am I? Yetad vilakshana kasched. I must be somebody different from the Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira, because I am aware of both of them. I am aware of the Sthula Sharira. I can experience, see through all my sense organs. I can understand the Sthula Sharira. I can also observe and know my Sukshma Sharira, though I cannot see it. So, all the organs of the Sukshma Sharira, including the sense organs, the prana, and the mind, the buddhi, all these are nothing but objects of my perception. So, who am I? Yetad vilakshanaha. I am something which is different from, which is distinct from, which is away from the sthula sharira, sukshma sharira. So, what do we say? How is it described? I in Tattva Bodha, sthula, sukshma, karana, sharira, vyatiriktaha. I am the sakshi, or I am the witness or the experiencer of the Sthula Sharira and the Sukshma Sharira. The Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Shariras are the experienced, and therefore they are the objects of my experience. Therefore, I am not the Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira. Okay, then this is just introduction. So one verse is given for who am I. I'm not the Stula Sukshma Sharira which are observed. I'm only the observer consciousness. Then the second question of the inquiry was, what is this Idam Jagat? How is this Idam Jagat born? That was the question asked. And a very brief answer is given to this in the first line of the next shloka. And in the second line of the shloka, what is the maker? Who's the maker of this idam prapancha or jagat? That is what is being talked about. So let us go to the 14th verse. Ajnana prabhavam sarvam jnanena praviliyate sankalpo vividhah karta vicharassoyamidrishaha. Vicharassoyam idrishaha means this is the type of enquiry that Vedanta makes you go through. We saw that in the previous verse also regarding enquiry into myself. Then, what is this? This whole universe, he says, Ajnana Prabhavam Sarvam. This whole universe is a projection which is a result of Ajnanam or Avidya. What is avidya? When I don't know the reality, I project something which is unreal. And similarly, when I don't know the reality of myself, when I don't know the reality of the whole Jagat, I project something which is not real. Therefore, this whole universe is what? That which is a projection out of ignorance. A projection made by what? By my avidya at the level of my, individual, and by Maya as the total, where there is the Vikshepa Shakti of Maya projecting this entire universe. We have seen all these things many times. That's why I'm taking it for granted that these are the basic facts that are known. And Tattva Bodha also we have done, Viveka Chudamani we have done, in which we have seen all these things in detail. So he says, here it is given in a little different way. Ajnana Prabhavam Sarvam Jnanena Praviliyate. This whole universe, according to Bhagwan Shankaracharya, is a projection done by me, the ignorant jiva, out of avidya, out of ignorance. What kind of ignorance? Ignorance of not knowing the reality behind the appearance. For example, when there is semi darkness and there is a rope lying there, the rope is partially seen, but I do not know that it's a rope. And out of this ignorance of the rope, because of partial light and darkness, I project the rope as a snake. Correct? I project the sand as mirage. I project a stump of the tree in the semi darkness, as though some human being is standing there. All this is because of what? Because of my ignorance of the reality of what is. I know something is there, but I don't know the reality of that something. So, what do I do? In this ajnanam, in this avidya, in this ignorance, I project something else which is not the real. So, ajnana prabhavam sarvam. Like I project a snake on the rope, like I project a dream which is not real. I project a dream, isn't it, out of avidya? Is the dream real? But it looks very real when I'm dreaming. When I see a rope as a snake, because of ignorance, the snake appears very real. But on inquiry, what happens? When light is thrown on the rope, what happens? I realize that it is not a snake, but it's a rope. The snake really wasn't there, but because of my avidya, because of my ignorance, it is as though there it appeared. It was a mere appearance. Similarly, the dream appears real when I'm dreaming, but when I wake up from the dream, I realize that it was a mere appearance in me, the waker. Because of the ignorance of the waker, I forgot that I was the waker, and I, the mind, projected a dream which was false. So here it is said that everything that I experience in this world outside is nothing but an appearance, because I do not know the reality, the real thing I do not know. Therefore, I, out of this ignorance of the reality or Satyam, I project something as a universe which happens to be nothing but Mithya universe or Asat universe or Mithya universe. And then, how do I understand that this universe is really not what I think it to be? It is not the Satyam. When the knowledge, Vedanta gives me the knowledge of the reality of the self, the reality of the Jagat outside, when I see clearly, then the appearance is understood as an appearance. You understand? The dream may disappear when I wake up. When I wake up, the dream disappears. When I throw light on the rope, snake disappears. So when I wake up to the reality, when I wake up to the real nature of me and the Jagat, this Jagat no longer appears to me as reality. The Jagat will be there. The Jagat will have all the objects that are there. But for me, it is no longer real. So, jnanena praviliyate. And when ignorance is dealt with, when the knowledge of the reality, the Paramarthika Satyam, Atma or Brahman appears or comes, then this projected universe loses its reality. Like the projected snake lost its reality when I saw the rope, when the projected dream lost its reality when I woke up and saw myself as the waker. Similarly, when I wake up to the Paramarthika Satyam or the absolute reality, I see that this Jagat, which I thought as real, is not the reality but a mere appearance. Then in the second line of the same verse, he says, Sankalpo Vividaha Karta. Okay, and what is said is, what is this whole Jagat which is appearing now? He says, it is a mere projection by the Maker or Ishvara. Maya Sahita Brahman, we call as Ishvara. And this Maya, we have already seen that it has two powers. Maya has the power of avaranam, that is partially hiding the truth, and vikshepa, projecting this whole thing, the false thing, as real. So ultimately, what is that is seen here? It is sankalpo vividaha karta. It is the projection of the Karta. This whole universe is as though it is a projection by Ishvara. That is nothing but this. This is the nature of enquiry. So, then in the next verse, in the 15th verse, the same text wants to say that what is the material? Okay, what is the material thing that is what is the basic material behind this appearance? There must be some reality. There must be some material there. That was the third question. What is the material? What is the material behind this I? And what is the material, the maker of this entire universe? What is it? So he says that in the Yetayor yadupadanam ekam sukshmam sadavyayam yathaiva mridghatadinam vicharassoyamidrishaha. So, three questions were there in my inquiry. Who am I? What is this Jagat? Who's the maker of this Jagat? What is the material with which it is made? You can take it as four questions also. Who am I? Koham. What is this Jagat? What is this Katham Idam? And who is the Karta of this whole thing that I'm seeing as a product? Or I'm seeing as something there as a product. Something is there around me. Trees are there and buildings are there and this is there, that is there. So if I take it as an effect or a karyam, then who is the maker of this? Who is the nimittam of this? We already saw that Ishvara, Brahman Vidmaya, Ishvara is the nimitta karanam. And what is the upadana karanam? What is the material cause? So here he says, Yetayor yad upadanam. Yetayoho. For this universe, as well as for this aham, the so-called body, mind, sense complex, which I call aham right now. Upadanam, the material. Ekam sukshmam sad avyayam. What is that ultimate reality or karanam in which, from which this whole universe of different objects and this body mind sense complex is projected? There must be something, isn't it? Some basic material from which this is maybe projected. Yes, the whole universe may be projected. This body mind sense complex is projected. Yes, we have already seen that. It is a vikshepa. But there must be something from which and in which this whole, vikshepa is happening, appearance is happening. So, yetayoho yad upadanam. What is the material that is there? Okay, because of misunderstanding of which, because of mistaking of which, because of the ignorance of which this whole universe and the body mind sense complex are appearing. Yetayoho yad upadanam. What is it? Ekam sukshmam sad avyayam. There is one thing called as Atma or Brahman, that which is the subtlest of the subtle, which is one and the only, Ekam. Ekameva Advitiya Brahma. There is one thing, there are not many. There is one reality, Ekam. Sad, the reality. There is one reality, not two. Ekameva Advitiyam. There are no many realities. What we are seeing as many here, the many are not realities. The many that we see are mere appearances. The Dvaitam that we see here is mere appearance. It is not the reality. There is one reality, Ekam, Sat, that which is all the time present in the form of existence. Ekam, Advitiyam, Sat, Sukshmam, subtlest of the subtle, that which is not an object of my perception. Ekam, Sat, Sukshmam, Avyayam, that which does not undergo any changes, that which is constant, that means Nityam. We have seen that in Bhagavad Gita. Ajaha, Nityaha, Shashvataha, Puranaha, na jayate, na mriyate, Ekameva advitiyam atma. Correct? That is the material. So we have already seen Brahman or Ishvara is defined as the abhinna nimitta upadana karanam of this entire universe. Brahman being changeless because of its association with Maya manifests itself in various forms, millions of forms. And this manifest names and forms are nothing but an appearance which we call as the universe. But what is the reality of this universe, or what is the upadanam? Upadanam means what is the material cause of this universe? The material cause of this universe is nothing but Brahman with Prakriti or Maya. Maya, being the basic matter principle, goes through the changes, parinama it goes through. Whereas Brahman, being the changeless cause, in association or with Maya, produces this entire universe of appearances. Therefore, what is Brahman called? Jagat Karanam Brahma. Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam. Vivarta Karanam. Vivarta means what? Unchanging. This Atma or Brahman doesn't change. Then what is it that changes which gives rise to this appearance? It is the Mula Prakriti or Maya borrowing existence, borrowing consciousness from this Atma or Brahman, projects this entire universe along with this body mind sense complex, and therefore Brahman is called as Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam. And he says that here only the Upadanam is discussed. Upadana means material. What is the material with which this whole universe is made? It is Brahman. That is the ultimate material. That is why we saw in Mundakopanishad when the Shishya goes to the Guru, he asks, what is it that by knowing which everything else is known? Yad vijnanena sarvamidam vijnatam bhavati. Knowing which everything is known. If I know Brahman, then I know everything. Because everything is nothing but a manifestation of Brahman. And he gives an example for this in the second line. Yathaiva mrit ghatadinam. Like clay is to all the earthenwares. What are all the earthenwares? A projection of names and forms in the original material called as clay. What are ornaments? Gold ornaments. They are nothing but a projection of the name and form and utility with the basic material called gold. So all the earthenwares are nothing but clay. All the gold ornaments are nothing but gold. Just like the clay is the upadana karanam of all earthenwares, just like gold is the upadana karanam for all golden ornaments, similarly, for this entire jagat, for this entire sthula sukshma prapancha, for this entire sthula sukshma sharira, what is the upadanam or the basic material is nothing but this Brahman or Atma. And the word Brahman or Atma is not mentioned here, which is going to come later. But then Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, Ekam Upadanam Yetayoho Upadanam, that is the material cause is what? Ekam. One, Sukshmam, subtlest of the subtle, that which cannot be experienced as the matter principle. It is the non matter principle, or what is called as existence consciousness. Sadrupam, Sad, only reality, the easiness, the reality. Avyayam, that which does not undergo any change. That is the basic cause of this entire universe, the basic material which is the entire universe. And this particular thing or the upadanam is nothing but can be compared to clay being the upadanam of this all the clay jagat, and also the gold being the upadanam of this all this entire gold ornaments. So with this, what has happened is the nature of what this entire thing is, the and who am I? I'm not the body mind sense complex. Okay, I'm not the sthula sharira sukshma sharira. I'm something different from sthula sukshma sharira. What is this jagat? This jagat is nothing but a projection of names and forms born out of ignorance of the reality of this entire universe. Who is the maker of this universe? It is Ishvara Brahman with Maya, which we call as Ishvara, where Maya, the original primitive matter principle, literally projects this whole world of names and forms as we see it. And what is the upadanam? What is the basic material because of which this whole universe is projected? If the whole universe is the karyam, what is the karanam? What is that underlying reality of this whole projected universe? It is nothing but that Atma or Brahman, which is described here as Ekam, Avyayam, Sukshmam. Okay, Ekam, Avyayam, Sukshmam, Sat. Okay, one, subtlest, unchanging existence or reality. That is the basic material with which it is made. Then, this, what is the nature of inquiry temporarily? Because this is only the introduction as to what is inquiry. All this is going to come later in detail. So, what is this inquiry? This is being hypothesized here as to what am I? I'm not the body, mind, sense complex. Fine. What is this Jagat? It is a mere appearance. What is it that is making this appearance happen? Maya Sahita Brahman. What is this material, basic material, because of which this entire universe is projected? It is nothing but Atma or Brahman. Okay? Then he says that now, if the Upadana Karanam of this entire universe that we have seen is nothing but this Ekam, Avyayam, Advitiyam, Brahma, then, okay, am I also that? Am I also? I said I am something other than the body mind sense complex. Then what is that other thing beyond the body mind sense complex? He ends that nature of inquiry, going a little deeper into that. In the first verse, he said, first verse means in the 13th verse, he said, I'm not na aham bhutaganaha, na aham dehaha, na aham akshaganaha. So then what am I then? Who am I? Tad vilakshanaha. So if I am tad vilakshanaha, then what is my nature? He gives a little more detail of that in the 16th verse. So he says, अहमेकोऽपि सूक्ष्मश्च ज्ञाता साक्षी सदव्ययः तदहं नात्र सन्देहो विचारः सोऽयमीदृशः. So in all these 4 or 5 verses, vicharaha soyam idrishaha is the common ending. This is the type of vichara that has to happen. So who am I, which was described in the 13th verse as aham Vilakshanaha, Yetaryor Vilakshanaha. I am other than, I am something different from the Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira. Then who am I? Aham api ekaha. I am also the so called I, like the Jagat. I am also what? Aham api ekaha. I am also that one. Body is not one, body is many. Sukshma Sharira is not one, Sukshma Sharira is many. Aham ekaha, aham api ekaha. I am also one and the only. Sukshmascha, I am also that subtle Atma, which is the Upadanam of the entire universe. Jnata, I am of the nature of consciousness, of the nature of knower. Sakshi, I am the one who is the witness of all that I witness. I witness the Jagat. The Jagat is the witnessed. Who am I? I am the witnessing consciousness. If Jagat is also Ekam, I am also Ekam. If Jagat is Avyayam, I am also Avyayam. Not Jagat is Avyayam. The truth of the Jagat is made up of Ekam, Sukshmam, Avyayam, Atma. Similarly, who am I? That which I call the I is also Ekaha. I'm also that one consciousness. Jagat is that one existence manifesting as various names and form. Aham Ekaha Jnata. I'm that one knower consciousness of this entire Jagat. Therefore, Lord Krishna said, Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. So who am I? Aham api ekaha sukshmascha. I'm also the subtlest of the subtle. I'm only the knower. I'm not the known. I'm the one who knows everything. I'm that consciousness which is the knower of everything, including this Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira. I'm the Jnata. I'm the knower consciousness of this body, mind, sense complex. I'm the knower consciousness of this entire universe. Sakshi. I'm the witness. The names and forms of the Jagat, including this body, mind, sense complex, are the witnessed. Sat. I am the existence, consciousness, Rupi Atma, Avyayaha, never changing. Okay? Dehi nosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara. So I am that one consciousness, never changing, one and only, the only knower. Everything else is known. The names and forms, including the body, mind, sense complex, is constantly changing. Like that very Sat and Avyaya Atma, which is the real material on which this whole universe is projected, I am also this one Ekam, Sukshmam, Jnata, Sakshi, Sat, Avyaya Atma, on which this body, mind, sense complex is projected. So, who am I? I am that same Sat or Brahman, the same consciousness I am, which is behind this body, mind, sense complex also. And here I am the very knower consciousness. Tadaham na atra sandehaha. So if the upadanam of this entire jagat is ekam, sukshmam, avyaya, sat, then the so-called I, aham, koham, I am the sthula, sukshma, karana, sharira, vyatiriktaha, sakshi chaitanya atma, jnata chaitanya. Jnata means the knower. I am the knower, the world is the known. But the basic material with which this world is made, the basic material behind this particular body, mind, sense complex, that which is the knower of this body, mind, sense complex, that which is the knower of all the names and forms of this entire universe, are nothing but the basic material. Upadanam, which is nothing but Atma or Brahman. Tad aham, that Brahman is me, aham. So already the Mahavakyam is brought here. Mahavakya Vichara. That which is the very substance with which this universe is made is the very I, the consciousness, which is the Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, the knower of this entire projected world of names and forms and the projected body mind sense complex. Aham, tad aham, na atra sandeha. There is no sandeha here. There's no question of any doubt here. This is the vichara, soyam idrishaha. This is the type of vichara Vedanta is going to talk about. When it comes to who I am, koham, okay, katham idam, what is this? Who is the maker of this? What is the material with which all this is made? Vedanta is ultimately going to say that everything, the truth of everything is nothing but this ekam yeva advitiya atma brahman, that is I, the Sakshi, the very witness of everything that is there. This is the nature of the inquiry that is going to happen. And in the next, few set of verses, Bhagwan Shankaracharya is going to explain more about what this ignorance is. We always say, no, ignorance, avidya, you know, what is this ignorance? What is this avidya? What is this ajnanam? Ignorance. What kind of an ignorance are we talking about when it comes to Atmajnanam? Is it the ignorance of, I don't know music? So is it music ignorance? Is it the ignorance of the geography of the world? Is it the ignorance of the economy of what is happening? Or what kind of an ignorance, what kind of an avidya, what kind of an ajnanam is being talked about in Vedanta, which is the very cause of samsara, which is the very cause of my getting bound in this samsara. What is that ignorance? That is what will be discussed in the next few verses, after which we'll be going more into details of the way in which this Atman or Brahman is explained. So we'll stop with this today. ॐ नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ तत्सत्